We continue our story on the planet of Char, where a big battle is taking place. I wonder what could have happened. Seems like somebody must have invaded Tarn's home planet, brought a couple of dangerous beast-like Autobot Predacons just to save their adoptive daddy. Oh yeah, Arachnid and Knockout did that. Of course they did. And well, yeah, Scourge is dead. Yeah, Hunger, when he pretty much lunged at him, he grabbed him and tore him in half. So yeah, the Terracons or the Predacons here, or the Predabots, are simply making their way through the entirety of the army of the Citadel that the Autobot prisoners are being held. And keep in mind, everything is not going as it should. They're tearing through everyone and everything, with Arachnid and Knockout being like, dang, this is actually easier than I thought. I know, right? I mean, geez, they know how to work effectively together. And this is where we see on the prison grounds Cyclonus. He's looking around and he's a bit disturbed by this. The constant explosions, the screams of his Viacon troopers, and the fact that he doesn't know where Scourge is. Or even, whatchamacallit, see his life signature is what I'm trying to say. However, the Autobot prisoners know what's up. They know that this is the time they've been waiting for. And well, Grimlock is now fully healed. And Perceptor sees it. And he says, okay, perfect. And so Moonrace is like, so now? Are we doing this now? I mean, kind of sick and tired of working, and we harvest enough Ore 13 to basically give you a new body. And this is where Grimlock is like, yeah, oh yeah, we can definitely do this now. We ain't got nothing else to do here. So everybody get ready. Yeah, everybody get ready. So all the Autobots get in position as Cyclonus simply sends out the Stunticons to go and confront whatever's happening. And Grimlock is like, all right, everyone now. And so this is where Grimlock drops his axe or his working axe or whatever, and Cyclonus walks over and gets the meanest haymaker, and he states, now. And this is where Jazz simply slides over to Cyclonus and says, payback, mother, and simply wails on him. Like, he straight up starts clocking Cyclonus's teeth and just starts punching him around, do some ninja flips and stuff like that. But keep in mind, this is still Cyclonus, and Jazz is still pretty much injured here. So Cyclonus does take advantage of this and does manage to get the upper hand on Jazz. However, Jazz says, yeah, you do realize you're about to get jumped, right? And this is where Ironhide's like, yeah, it's a darn shame what I'm about to do to him. And Ironhide comes in with a flying punch. I mean, I think I would be terrified if Ironhide was jumping at me and comes in with a whole side fist and stuff like that. And proceeds to beat him up and serves him up to Moonracer, who transforms and straight up rams him into the side of the wall, impaling him on a shard of Ore 13. However, this doesn't end here for Scourge. That doesn't kill him. Firestar is the one who kills him, as she walks over and states, it's actually been fun killing you. And actually just, straight up turns her hands into, like, flamethrowers. And, yeah, she melts Scourge onto the Ore 13, just straight up killing him right then and there. Meanwhile, back on I would probably say the more destroyed area of the base, this is where we actually see the Stunticons finally making their way to the position. And they're simply stating to everyone to stand down. However, they're talking to the Terracons, and they're looking at him like, did he really just ask us to stand down after we tore apart this whole thing? I mean, I don't think that's a smart move. Y'all know what? Combine. And they all just combine into Abominus. And this is where the Stunticons combine into Menasor. And pretty much, I'm going to say this. They tried. They did. They tried their hardest. Menasor tried his best, using his Stormblade and everything. But, it's a Predacon combiner that, I think we all can agree, Predacons are already stronger than Autobots. Even consider, equals to the Dinobots to certain degrees, right? So, if they're already stronger than a Cybertronian and capable of fighting a combiner in individual components, what is a Predacon combiner going to do to a regular combiner when the strength of 5 Predacons is put together into one. Yeah, I think we know that Menasor never, had a chance to begin with, but at least he tried. He did his best. And so Menasor begins tearing his way through the other parts of the facility until they pretty much reach the other Autobot prisoners. And well, Knockout actually gets to work helping Perceptor and fixing everybody else except for Grimlock. And this is where he simply states to Arachnid that her plan actually did great. But what are they going to do here? There's no way we're going to leave this facility with all this Ore-13 in hopes of anyone just finding it. And to which, this is where Grimlock simply chimes in. He's like, yeah, of course we're not. But right now, I heard you guys are dealing with another situation. Or at least from the chatter of Cyclonus and Scourge that they used a super weapon called Thunderwing. And this is where Knockout and Arachnid look at each other and they simply confirm it. Yeah, it's absolutely devastating. Last time we logged off, or last time, they got off comms with the rest of the Autobots and Decepticons, or at least the Decepticons that, follow Dreadwing, they're not doing so hot. And right now, time is of the essence. So if they have some way that they can actually get an edge, now's the time. To which this is where Perceptor states, they've actually been mining enough Ore-13 at a much faster pace to actually give Grimlock a new body. And this may be the edge that they need. To which Knockout was like, Ore-13 does give certain users strange properties, maybe even hidden in new abilities. But I wonder, what could it really do to Shockwave's top experiment? To which Grimlock looks at him, Knockout's like, okay, my bad. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying. Shockwave did think very highly of you. So I'm just, wondering if this is actually the case. I mean, think about it, right? You could be the most powerful being in the universe right now with that Ore-13. Probably second, if not maybe stronger than Optimus with the Star Saber. And to which Grimlock's like, okay, I'll let it slide. Let's just hurry up and get this over with. And so this is where they actually all go to the chamber room, or the, what's it called? The appliance room, if you will, where Grimlock simply sits on a makeshift bed and he's like, okay, you all know what you're doing, right? To which Knockout actually takes some time to examine the process and how it's going to work. And is like, yes, we do. This is going to hurt. And so molten Ore-13 is poured on to Grimlock, enough to cover his whole body. And he screams in agony that when he gets out of this, he's going to punch him through the wall. To which Perceptor says, yeah, he has no doubt about that. But please, take it just a little bit longer. And this is where the Predacons kind of get a little bit defensive, as again, seeing your own father figure hurt, screaming in agony and in just self-righteous pain. It's just it's not a very pleasant sight. But I do think that the process would eventually just die down and Grimlock screams would, with Moonracer saying, he stopped screaming. Is he okay? To which Arachnid is like, well, he is tougher than the rest of them. I have no doubt that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with when he gets out of that. And so this is where Grimlock simply bursts out the now cocoon of the Ore-13 and emerges in his Fire Blast form. Now, if you guys don't know, this is actually a simple custom that originally started with Transformers Animated and then developed into Transformers Prime, or at least in Fall of Cybertron. To which Grimlock simply asks, how do I look? And Moonracer's like, actually, you look amazing. Also, I can feel some type of heat radiating off you. To which Blight is like, this may actually be the Ore-13 that, well, at least the special properties of the Ore-13 given to another Cybertronian. And Arachnid's like, not bad, not bad. I actually say you look quite ravishing even. To which Grimlock is like, okay, now let's hurry up and head to Cybertron. Now, back on Cybertron. How are things doing for the Resistance, the Autobots, Predacons, Dinobots, and Decepticons all teaming up against Tarn? How is that actually looking? Well, Unfortunately, not so good. Bludgeon has been killed by Dreadwing finally, but it was a rough and long fight. And Tarn took advantage of this and, well, simply manhandled Dreadwing, throwing him to the ground, and actually begins to pick him up by his head. Kind of like how he did, I think, Blackwing. And he simply begins to monologue to him, telling him that Megatron would have never wanted this. Megatron was everything the Decepticon cause was. So what if he changed? So what if he became corrupted? As long as he lived, so did the cause. And this is where Dreadwing simply states, the cause died. Megatron changed. He was no longer honorable. In fact, he even desecrated the dead. What about that shows the original part of the Decepticon cause? And Dreadwing states, yes, he took part in some of it, but he would never do such a thing again. And so this is where the Autobot ship begins to enter orbit. And well, everyone's on there. The Autobot prisoners fully locked and loaded. The Predacons, Arachnid, Knockout, and Grimlock. To which Grimlock simply asks one thing. So, I'm strong enough to survive orbit, right? And they all look at him like, well, yes. Why are you asking that? To which Grimlock's like, oh, you know, no reason. Just, hurry up, give me the planet's review, and, I'll take it from here. And this is where Perceptor's like, no. And Grimlock's like, yep. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And Grimlock jumps out of the jet, or jumps out of the Cybertronian plane, or Autobot ship, excuse me. And Perceptor's like, oh my god. He jumped. Into which Jazz is like, dang. Is that how Cliffjumper felt when I did that to him? I mean, geez, I didn't think I was that bad, you know. And so this is where Grimlock actually utilizes his new fire manipulation to not only propulse himself into space, but actually utilizes it to pick up more speed as he descends down to the planet. And he descends like a... You know, he actually descends like Valstrax. I'm just going to say it just like that. He actually comes down like Crimson Glow Valstrax. Just straight up comes in for a whole ambush tactic. And Firestar is like a little bit jealous. She's like, dang, maybe I could do that. Holy crap, maybe I should do that. Oh no, I'm definitely going to try that. Well, maybe without all the whole orbital drop or whatever. And this is where Grimlock forms himself, or forms the fire around him, in sort of a heat bubble. And as Thunderwing is standing over the defeated Optimus Prime, the Autobots, the Combaticons and Dinobots, and Predaking, Skylynx, and Darksteel, this is where he is smacked right in the back by that fire meteor. And well, Thunderwing doesn't hesitate to see what hit him. He turns his cannons and, well, unleashes everything he has against the smoke cloud. Again, it's just nothing but a smoke cloud at that point. However, Grimlock replies with him breathing a new form of fire. A new level, I should say. His fire breath is on such a higher level that I would say comparing it to Predacons would be child's play at this point. And then Thunderwing unleashes a shockwave that not only disrupts the blast between them, but tries to throw Grimlock off balance. However, Grimlock actually slams his fist in the ground and causes multiple fire or multiple magma quakes, or magma geysers if you will, excuse me, to basically erupt from the ground and strike Thunderwing for everything he has. And this is where, when the smoke clears, everyone sees Grimlock in his new form. Some of them are absolutely shocked, and then we have those that are jealous. Predaking. But nevertheless, here, Tarn's like, what? You used it. My Ore 13, my supply of Ore 13. That was meant for me as a celebration for my victory. How could this happen? And this is where Arachnid simply says, well, wouldn't you know it? Two Decepticons simply hobbled on over to your planet and, well, you know, disrupted everything. By the way, you're probably going to want to know that everyone on there is dead. Cyclonus, Scourge, your little combiner, all gone. Meanwhile, Grimlock is now proceeding to lay into Thunderwing for all he has, and actually knocks him over for a good bit, enough to where he and Optimus can actually regroup. And he helps him up with Optimus stating, wait, Grimlock, is that really you, old friend? And this is where Grimlock is like, yeah, it's me. New body, new upgrade, a little bit more powerful than I was before. Now, are you going to stand there and talk about how better I am than you? Or are you going to get up and help me jump this giant kaiju? And this is where Optimus can't even help but let out a small laugh. And, well, he and Grimlock both face against Thunderwing together, while Optimus tells the other Autobots to engage Tarn and the rest of his team, which is just him and Sunder at this point. So Grimlock and Optimus stand shoulder to shoulder, and Optimus takes to the skies while Grimlock transforms into his beast form and pretty much charges on the ground, laying into him with everything he has. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, folks.